Yeah, and that was like, and from my research, I could tell that was the switch moment. Like that was the moment, like
Yeah, turn up.
you really now, I'm finna take this photography shit seriously, and really put everything into it. And man, I just think, man, there's so much irony, and I'm probably gonna say that word a few more times in this conversation. Irony, like in a positive way though, because like your story, like you made a specific life change like after that moment, right? Like after your friends were killed, which is rest in peace both of them, But you could say their deaths sort of positioned you in a way to be the lens for the deaths and the outcries of others in the city. Like that was the pivotal moment where it began. Now you're sort of positioned in a way. It's like now I can be the viewpoint, the eyes for what we see in the city today. I'm leading up to something specific for everybody that probably knows watching this video, of course. But I want to sort of go through the whole thing, and just to keep pushing forward. You shot like your very first protest, which was I think the Israel-Palestine protest.
So the first one was Mike Brown in Palestine.
Mike Brown? Okay.
Yeah, because it was like they was like the crazy thing, they was going around, they was having it at the same time.
Okay, yeah.
So it was like Mike Brown. It was
it's 2014.
All is 2014.
2014, yeah.
So the Mike Brown protest, I went because I had a homeboy that I went to Woodlawn with.
Sure, yeah.
Sean Gamble.
Yeah.
Anybody know the Sean Gamble story? They got in an altercation with an off-duty police officer, and then off-duty police officer pulls out a gun. On-duty police officers kill.
They didn't know he was a cop.
They didn't know he was a cop. They saw a black man with a gun,
Yep.
kills him, and kills Sean.
Yeah.
It's deeper than that, but that's like the
Of course.
overview.
Yeah.
But they had protests and all that for him, and I ain't believe. I'm like, man, and that mind state that I was at, and mind you, this was my dog. Like we used to all party and all that. Like it was my guy.
Yeah.
One of the most like beautiful human beings. Like I never seen treat anybody ill. Like one of the most positive people I've ever met in my life. Like, and I'm just like, man, that's life, man. It is what it is. But then, from studying Gordon, it was like, the camera's a weapon. So I was like, I'm gonna just go. And I shot the images, and that's what led to like an artist, one of my artist friends, boyfriend is from Palestine. He was like, yo, I saw what you shot at the Mike Brown protest. Yo, can you come to this protest with me and just capture it? And I'm like, the fuck is Palestine?
Yeah, right.
Like, because I'm from Baltimore. I don't know anything
exactly,
outside of, like, back then, like, 2014, I'm like, man, I don't even know what fucking, I'm trying to think of something real. Waldorf. Like, Gaithersburg.
Right, exactly.
Like, I know what Moco is.
Right,
I know
exactly.
I know Pretty Girl, PG
So
County,
for me
Pretty
to
Girl
know
County.
Palestine, it's like,
right.
it's out of scope.
Where's Palestine on the map? Because like, growing up, how we grew up, everything is like
right here,
surface value.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I ain't think nothing, and I went.
Yeah.
And I shot it, and the response from just that community was just like, that's when I started really understanding that. I knew the Mike Brown work was, I understand I'm a black man, the work made sense, but I did that for a friend, and it was really appreciative of it, for real. But they was like my first two protests.
Yeah, and I think that's important too, because like now you're starting to see like how to shape a narrative, but also how your photos affect people emotionally.
Yeah.
Like, and seeing that for the Israel-Palestine thing, which crazy is like super connected to where we are right now.
Right.
But and I think that's important too, because like you were able to start the beginning of sort of shaping the narrative, even for the Mike Brown thing, of being able to do something for your community. You can shape that narrative using your lens. And I want to keep going a bit. Where like I think 2015 even, no, actually I want to stop for a second in 2014, because like you were having difficulty getting published. Like people even locally didn't yet know you photographically, so they weren't even interested at the moment. But it's crazy because it's like they're like kicking themselves now. They didn't publish you early on.
But the thing is like my work was already popping though. So I'm talking about just locally. I'm talking about like when I first started, it was like other photographers around, but I don't feel like it was nobody like. The art of journalism wasn't like a thing for a lot. Most people were like shooting parties. Yeah. Like my homeboy Chris Cam, like that was my dog. He let me use the studio and everything. Like they were doing their thing. It was like a business. Yeah. Like for me, it was like the art of it. It was like you had like people like Charisma that did all the flyers and shot everybody. You had Fox Millie, that was shooting a lot of stuff. You know, he was doing like a lot of party flies. It was like backdrop. You know, other dudes doing. You know, there's a couple photographers that slighted me back in the day, so I don't say names. You know,
it's all good.
I don't throw shots, man. But you know, like they were doing baby showers and other stuff. Sure. And you had like OGs like Jazzy Photos, like that's my guy. He had a studio at Owens Mills, and I remember I was young and my friend was doing makeup. She asked me to shoot video in there, and he was like, yo, just giving me gems. So shout out to Jazzy Photos and definitely Chris Cam. Those are two dudes that like saw something in me and let me use their studios, gave me gems. That's dope. And amazing things. But the art of journalism, documenting, seeing the importance of the small things in life. You know, I don't think that was like a thing how it is now. The new generation, which they're embodying right now, seeing the importance of documenting the local thing. But I was already like tapped in, so like you know, I was working with stars. You know, like I was working with Ricky Jacobs. You know, who was. A lot of people don't know Ricky Jacobs can rap his ass off. You know, like, you know, me and Ricky doing shoots everywhere. Before he was Kid Balloon, Jockey Baker, you know, like, me and him was collabing on stuff, you know, because I remember he hit me up on Twitter, like, yo, I love your work. Can I, like, paint over your work or whatever? I'm like, all right, cool. And it's like 2013, 14, and then we had, like, a whole, like collab situation going on. You know, like, I was already, you know, amongst, like, you know, the small, you know, like, none of us was popping. I'm talking about young Bush Dawson, young Soda, Ice, you know, it was a lot of us. We wasn't what we are now, but we was popping amongst each other and supporting each other. Definitely. You know, the DZs, I'm trying to think who else. Even like when thinking about some of the models, I was shooting my friends and doing headshots. You know, I was going to New York. Like, I was going to New York on my own, you know, like.
Give me good vibes and energy and I give you free art, right?
Yo, dang, you went all the way back about to the, yo, I ended up at like Rest in Peace China from Philly. I ended up like a house party with her. Yo, ASAP Ferg, like all that. Linked up with some other people. Ended up at like meeting like Virgil, like in the middle of New York, like giving out free prints, writing my name. So at the point where, you know, Ferguson and stuff happened, you know, I went to the Ferguson protest. It was me, Jockey, Kid Balloon, and OG Dutchie. Rest in peace. Like we went together. Like I pulled up. I was like, yo, meet me here. We went down there together. So. You know, I already had a joint, so I tried to get it published through, like, the Baltimore Sun and all that, I never got a response. So I was like, all right, cool. It was like one of those moments you feel defeat and you want to quit.
Sure.
My mother was like, you better not quit. You still got to pay your grandma for the camera. You know, like, you better not quit.
Yeah.
And that's what set me up. You know, like, that failure, that moment set me up for what would come the next year.
Yeah, no, 100%. And at the time, I want to talk about... aside from that, because we are going to go to that next. In 2015, I think you pursued a job like to work with like people with autism and intellectual disabilities.
So I was already there. I started there because I got laid off from Transamerica.
Right.
So
that's
when
the
I got laid
handoff.
When I got laid off, I took my one of my godmothers helped me get a job at Emerge. Working with young adults with autism and intellectual disabilities. So I was there. And it was perfect because when I got laid off, I was just doing poetry. I wasn't really, but that laid off kind of pushed me to want to do photography even more. You know what and then I started working there right after I got my first camera. And at first I was working from like 4 to 12 at night.
And then
I switched it. I switched it so I could do photography all night. So I worked from 12 at night to 8 in the morning.
And then you can just shoot all of that extra time.
And then my homeboy Rags worked with me. He was always late, but. To relieve me, but I could shoot all day, and then I would go to work at 12 o'clock at night and just edit because my clients would sleep. So all I had to do was stay awake.
No, for sure. And a little bit more about that. I needed to introduce that now because when we start talking about sort of now we get to Freddie Gray in 2015, that's going to pop up again. So I just wanted to introduce that. So we talk about the uprisings in Baltimore 2015. Freddie Gray, of course, protest breakout, 2,000 people. You know, it's insane. But it was peaceful. Like for the most part, it was peaceful. And I think the narrative, and I'm so glad we're getting into this conversation about narrative because that's going to also pop up. You know, if you look from the news or like big publications like CNN or like, you know, all these places, it's almost as if all of it was violent, all of it was crazy. It was just a burn at CVS, stomped out the window in a police car. That's all you see, right? But it's really like the main issue didn't even happen because of the protesters and the police. It was because of, like, out Camden Yards, drunk white Orioles fans and, you know, whoever was playing it that day, you know, throwing racial slurs at young kids who have never gotten that experience or never happened to them before. So now it's just, that was the match, and that was all you needed, you know. But it's so crazy because to have 2,000 peaceful people protesting for the right thing in Baltimore when we have this narrative of, like, it's all about the wire. It's all about the drugs, like heroin capital of the world, of course. You know, like all these things. But we were able to mobilize on some positive stuff. And then all it took was racism to ignite it, you know. So tell me about just around that time, because I know that's burned in your brain. You can never forget, like, the uprising of 2015. You never. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like when it happened, I was down City of Gods. You know, City of Gods is really like, I've been on there for too damn long. Like, that's like my second home, yo. You talking about like over a decade at this point.
Yeah.
I remember sitting down there. I think it was like me, Joe, somewhere, but somebody got a group text and we was looking at the first video for real. And that's when we kind of like found out, like, oh, yo, I'm like, it's gonna get real. So then I remember like just everybody talking about it on social, and then I remember like everybody like, yo, we going to the first protest. Everybody going to the first protest.
Yeah.
You know, and I went by myself, and I just went, and then I just shot everything the first day. And the first day just was like it was probably like 300 people.
Sure.
And then it started growing.
Yeah.
It started growing. You know, and then once he passed, that's when everybody started coming out.
Yeah.
And then that Saturday before, you know, the funeral, I had my homeboy Cortez with me. Shout out to my man Taz. And I was like, yo, I'm going to the protest. He's like, all right, I'm going to meet you down there. You know, Brett. So we met, and then I'm snapping away. You know, and at this point, you know, I had, you know, from that 1 year, I had transitioned where I didn't know what I wanted to say, but I knew what the camera meant for me.
Yeah.
You know, it changed from, you know, even when my friends died, it wasn't kind of like a I just love taking pictures.
Sure.
It became a mission.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
then, you know, with the Mike Brown situation, it was just like, oh nah, like this is me. Like I don't what I want to say, but I just know that it's something.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm snapping away, you know, and we had been protesting for a minute before he passed away. But the Saturday just was like so many people.
Crazy, yeah.
And I'm just snap, climbing light posts. I don't. But the thing is, what me was the fact that anger that I felt like my work wasn't good because I didn't get published. You know, I had spent that whole year just studying, you know, and you know, basically finding my eye. You know, like a lot of times though, you know, anybody can take a picture, but it's like, you have to train your eye and your thought process on how you want your work to be seen and what your images.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and at this point, I had already fallen in love with black and white photography.
Yeah.
You know, that was my thing. So what I did was I had ditched like all my Canon gear, and I had went to a smaller system because I had fell in love with shooting everyday life at this point. You know, so like even chilling down City of Gods. Yo, get that cam out my face, bro. Like, but I was walking, and then, you know, I was walking around with a big camera system. I had 7200, big 50 on there, or 85 with the Canon, with the battery grip. I'm just out there like with a tank
going crazy.
But I had, for me, studying just like and looking at Gordon, what he was shooting with, and looking at just like how a lot of the, you know, the photographers were shooting in like Manhattan at the time, and looking at the past and some of the more simpler systems, you know. And at this time,
it was a Fuji camera, right?
I had a Fuji. Like, it was small. And then around this time when I first started, I didn't understand what a prime lens was, a zoom lens. I didn't understand aperture, you know, when I first started. But now, you know, around the time cover, I'm learning these things now. So I'm like, all these lenses I bought does not fit my aesthetic or what I'm trying to portray. And they actually take away. That's what I still shoot with the same, different brand, but the same setup.
Yeah.
Simple. simplicity, speed. That's what I need. I need speed, simplicity, and I need, powerful imagery. Yeah. But I need to be not seen, but I need to, and I understand that this is a collaboration if the person know it or not. So I went with a smaller system, and that's why I went with the Fuji. And then I found out my favorite focal length at the time was a 35. That was the perfect distance for me. Yeah. And I just was shooting. But the thing is, I loved about the camera, it had Wi-Fi. So what I was doing, I was shooting.
Send it to your phone.
Shooting.
Send it to your phone.
Post on Twitter like I was a machine.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize what I was doing. I just was trying to get the story out. And I feel like nobody, because I'm from West Baltimore. I know a lot of people at these protests.
Yeah.
I see my homeboys, see cousin. No one can tell the story better than me.
Yeah,
as a person that has been subjected to police brutality personally. I've had police officers put drugs on me. I've been, roughed up by police. I've been there, been mace bomb, all that. So I just felt like nobody can tell that story better than me. But I also had studied the other side of media where we don't control our own narrative and understand the importance of narrative and how we shape those things. And the winner of history is the person who tells the story, like that type thing. So I already had been going down that rabbit hole and reading Gordon Parks' books, and it's already embedded in me.
Yeah.
So, I just was shooting away and then putting it on social media.
Yeah.
And that way, I was essentially moving fast in the media. Yeah. So by the time CNN and stuff start reporting, nobody was really reporting. They talked about, they're protesting, but when once the police cars start getting stomped post the racist baseball players, that's when CNN and all them, everybody reporting, everybody jumped on. Yep. But I was already posting the entire time. So for days though, like on my earlier posts, I think it was either April 18th or 19th, I said I'm moving forward, I'm dedicating my page.
Your page to Freddie Gray. Yeah.
And that's what I did for months.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, man. And that's exactly how I've seen it in my research. And I think it's interesting because that you mentioned that the big publications only jumped on it when now there's this negative narrative that they can spin. Mm-hmm. And I think there's always the phrase, if it bleeds, it leads.
It bleeds, it leads, yeah.
And it's incredible to be able to be in that position of, like you said, coming from West Baltimore, knowing these people were out here, being from the experience that Freddie Gray has been in, being in the rough ride, doing all these things and experiencing them firsthand. I think that's so important to tell that narrative because only you, or someone that came from those same walks of life that Freddie Gray did, can tell that story and know these people. And I think that was just a super powerful moment for me because it's no matter what medium you're in, no matter where you are in your life, I think that's a gem you can take to tell the story the way you see it because your view, especially being from Baltimore, is so important. And I think one of the things we learn as kids in Baltimore a lot of times is that our narrative isn't important. Yeah. Our point of view isn't valuable, and I think that was a very powerful thing to me, and I hope that from this interview people also get that, and of course from your story. But we're gonna keep going. Mm-hmm. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was Fusion Magazine the first people to reach out to you?
No, it was the BBC.
BBC. That was on Sunday, right? That was Sunday.
BBC reached out to me. They tweeted me that Saturday, but I didn't respond till Sunday because I didn't see it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So
because I had to go to the house and get my daughter because she was wilding. She was giving my
your mom was calling.
Yeah, come get your child wilding. So I was in the house and I watched. Yeah. It was so funny because my now friend had got beat up by the police. Joe Giordano was getting stomped by police, and somebody was like, "The photographers got beat up by police." So people was coming "Yo, you got beat up by police."
You good?
Please. Look, I'm in the house. I'm in the house with my guy. Sure. But I went to sleep with 10K followers. I think woke up 20.
Yeah. I mentioned the Fusion Mag
Fusion
because
Fusion was right after that. Yeah.
I mentioned that because I think you got a $300 PayPal or something like that from.
I was tripping what?
That was the beginning of man.
No, but it's so funny. Hey. But, other than that, my first paydays as a photographer wasn't much because I never looked to get paid.
Exactly.
When I first started, I just wanted to shoot.
It's the art, yeah.
So it was my first paydays was Larry Love, Huey, Brent shooting Huey.
Yeah.
Before she started Strut, my homegirl agent had Affordably Expensive. She paid me to shoot that. My homegirl Malika Reed paid me to shoot. they was like the first 3 people that really paid me for real.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's great company.
Yeah.
We talked about BBC a little bit. You booked the interview, and I think shortly after that, and this is why I mentioned the job at Emerge, because you got the call from Time. But they called from a block number or something like that. So
when they called me,
you kept declining them.
Yeah, I was actually in the house, and I was I was actually sitting at I was sitting at the table, and they kept calling.
Bill collector.
Yeah, or I thought I used to be outside like a girl. One of these girls playing on my phone.
Yeah, or some shorty.
And I finally asked it, and it was like, this is Olivier from Time. Talk to DVNLLN. And I was like, Ma, I think Time on the phone. I'm like, Time? I'm like, I heard it. She said, fool, that might be the magazine. Talk to them. And I was like, well, all right, cool.
It's great. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and I rapped to him, and then he was like, I just want to, who do you shoot for? Who do you shoot for? They thought I was shooting for people, and I'm like, shoot for myself, bro. Tell us about you. And I told him, they're like, hold on. You been taking a picture for 2 years? I'm like, yeah, and he's like, oh, let me call you back. And then it actually started. And then I got the they had Lightbox at the time.
Yeah, Lightbox blog. Yeah.
So I ended up on Lightbox blog, but then Paul Moakley was like, you talk to this kid.
Yeah.
And that's where the conversation started. From Paul was the chief editor of Time at the time.
Yeah, and that eventually led to the full spread, in the May issue, I think, right?
Yeah, in the May issue.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people don't know. They think I just got a Time cover. I got a full spread too, like 12 images.
It's not just a Time cover. But I think that's incredible too, because then, and I think you even got in the conversation of we're thinking about using your photo for the cover, but don't get your hopes up.
Yeah, so they Time how do you feel? All this other stuff. And mind you, we ain't talking about payment, nothing.
Right.
Nothing. I'm just the article they written with it, I'm like, it's cool. I can take that. My biggest thing was I didn't know nothing about copyrights, but I just know I didn't want to give out my rights to the work.
Sure.
So and then around this time they connected me with the lawyer or whatever. So they was like, yo, this image, can you send this to us? And they was like, we really love this. We really want this to be the cover, but we already got a cover.
Yeah.
But, you got the full spread. We definitely want to work with you some more. I'll let you know about the cover.
Yeah.
I just woke up the next day to the cover.
Yeah.
I fell asleep at work. I shouldn't have been asleep, but...
You called your mom.
Called my mom.
First.
I was like, Mom. But I got on Twitter,
started saying...
my page kept crashing. I'm like, what's going on? I'm scrolling. I just see retweets. I get to the top of the joint. I just see Time, amateur photographer from West Baltimore, snags the cover of Time magazine.
Yeah.
I was like, I almost forgot to get my clients dressed. I was like, because it's like 7:30 in the morning. 7:30 o'clock in the morning. I called my mother. So I just had gotten in a car accident.
Yeah.
So I called my mother like, Ma. She said, God damn it, Devin, I know you ain't crashed that car. I'm like, no.
That's why I brought it up the last time.
Yeah, I was like, no. I got the cover of Time magazine.
Yeah.
She dropped the phone. I just hear her kicking the phone. And I'm like, Ma. I had to hang up and call her back.
Yeah.
And I was like, you lying. I'm like, get on Twitter. This before my mother. Now she know how to use social media and all that.
Yeah.
But this before she was, I ain't social media. I ain't get on that. I'm too old for that. Now she be sending me TikToks and all that. She see the TikToks before me now.
Hey, yeah.
But she went on and it was like, after that it just was up. And then my mom was on the emails and my uncle became my manager.
Yeah. That's dope, man. And I just, for a second, if we can zero in on that first Time cover, if I'm not mistaken, you almost got trampled taking that Time cover, right?
Yeah, it was because I was so busy. It's so funny because I did a CNN interview and they found the footage of me running, trying to get out of the way of the police, and I'm all running, trying to look at my viewfinder,
Right.
So when I shot it, I was on my knee. I was on my knees. Pause. I was like,
it's all good. It's all good.
Hey,
it's all
yo,
good.
You can't go. Hey, yo. On your knees is wild. So, but I was taking the image. So I'm looking down, not realizing how close they was, and the CNN got it to where I'm running. I start slightly jogging. I'm running, and I try to hop over the little gate because we was right there by the on Camden.
Yeah.
Or whatever, because I wasn't paying attention. And when I saw how close he was, I was looking like, oh, let me get out of the way.
Yeah.
But they was only worried about the police cars, though.
Of course.
But it's so crazy how the image look. It looks like they chasing him, but they're not actually chasing him.
Yeah.
They're running. They was running up to stop it was 3, like I think it was 2 or 3 police cars. They ran up to Pratt Street to stop the destruction of police cars. They wasn't actually chasing him, but he had ran down there to throw like a bottle or something. Because we didn't realize when they were destroying the police cars, they already had boxers in.
Yeah, they was already.
They already was in. They was in go mode already.
Yeah.
You know, like they was all strategically block cammed in. What's that? That's not. What's that? That's not Howard, is it? It might be Howard.
It might be Howard. Yeah.
It might be Howard, or is that Utah? They blocked one of them.
Right,
that was one of those streets so we couldn't go that way.
Right.
And so it was like the only way for you had to go up, down Pratt and all that shit. And then they blocked the other street.
Yeah. And that's just crazy. Cause it's so many things that I can think about in what you just said too. Cause like, to have. I think you had mentioned something along the lines like you kind of dissociate when you're shooting, like especially around that time where it's like
you have to be, I'm not gonna say it's not so much disassociation, but it's just like being, living behind the viewfinder, becoming a spectator, but at the same time knowing when to, be behind a viewfinder and when to come from behind it. Like I'm one of my mantras is. In photography, everything, the best photographers know when to put the camera down. So just like even in the moments, I try to be very strategic on how I shoot, and stuff like that. So like a lot of images you'll see, like you just see feet stopping the police cars, or I'm shooting from obscure angles where you can't see the face, or the images or a shadow blocking out the face and stuff like that. So it's not so it's more so becoming the viewer, so I can focus on capturing, and going to like this autopilot mode, but I'm still thinking and moving the camera.
Sure. Yeah. Very, very intentional with how you shoot, and I think that started originally because like. You didn't have the super big SD cards, right? Like, so you had the smaller ones. You had to be
things expensive. So like, you talking about I'm making $12, $13 an hour.
Yeah.
I got child support.
Oh God, yeah.
Card, no, I'm not making no money. So it's like I would only have smaller SD cards, but it got to the point where I would have bigger SD cards, but I found myself like.
Yeah.
And then like, but and that just comes from learning. It was like, but like when I'm shooting those smaller SD cards, it was just like a little thing to see how many good shots I can get in this like 16 gig. Because the files were kind of big, so it's like when you're shooting raw files. So I'm like 16 8 gig. How many? So like even like shooting models, like I would I prefer that. I don't want to have to go, and I'm lazy too. When it comes to like the editing process, joy is taking the image. I hate editing. I hate the process of like going in and making selects and all that. I'd rather get the best what I can get in camera. And just run with that. And that's just how I am. Like I know how to do Photoshop. I know how to process. I taught myself, but it's nothing like getting the best shot in camera and just like. You a bad motherfucker, like So it's like that's just how even when I had all the equipment when I first started, it was all like secondhand gear, older gear. Like I'm going to Search Photo buying like I really want this lens, that joint like a stack. I'm gonna get. You ain't got like the first generation of that, like like I'm shooting, and it's just like, and then eventually got to the point where it was just like. I just one camera, 2 lenses. And then it's like get the best shot. So now I know what I need when I step out.
100%. I think that was like a part of pushing photos to like social media too. Like you was like the raw image. You was sending it straight to your phone, and then you were just posting it. Like, and that was like, it was so visceral in that moment.
Shot in black, literally shot in black and white, in raw, in JPEG.
Yeah.
JPEG goes up.
Straight up. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. I think, and I kind of want to keep going, because, man, I feel like this is going to be a 2-part interview. No, for sure. Like, and I want to sort of talk about, like, a little bit afterwards, sort of a month after, like, all of the things happened in, Freddie Gray. like you're a very spiritual person. You talk about your spirituality at length, and you know everything was starting to move really fast after you were pushing photos online, you know, getting calls from every which way, you know, all the like followers jumping up overnight, you know, and eventually you got to a breaking point. Yeah. You know, and I think what was interesting, I saw the Netflix like Strong Black Lens, like it was you with a group of photographers sitting around and you were sort of talking about, you know, the stresses of dealing with the post-viral moment, you know, and now that post-traumatic stress disorder, that, you know, like all these things that come along with being viral and being in front of these super visceral, super like life-changing moments, you know, and I want you to talk about sort of the struggles you went through because you actually tried to commit suicide a month afterward. Yep. And if you can talk a little bit about that and sort of some of the things you were going through at that time.
Yeah, you know, like one thing, you know, growing up in Baltimore, I had been so cold for so long, but like I think having a child kind of warmed me up, and then becoming an artist warmed me up even more when I start caring about living and caring about, you know, more about, you know, what I put out into the world and what I subject myself to. You know, growing up, I was just living. You know, I really didn't, you know, think about tomorrow too much, but now I had so much to live for, so I think I was subjected to a lot of emotions that came through from being an artist that I never tapped into before. So that's like the first thing, where like when my homeboys died, like I was sad, but it ain't hit me till years later. So like now when I lose homeboys, it hit me different. You know it, you know, but I think being in those moments, it was just like, yo, the adrenaline is always rushing. You protesting every day, protesting every day. This height, it's a high, you know, and you don't realize it, but then you have to come down. And now you have to deal with all the energy you have taken in, you know, you have to deal with all the emotions that you have ignored over this course of time. And mind you, real life is still life.
100%.
But at the same time, you gotta go do this interview. These people want you here. They want you down City Hall. You got to be. I'm talking about my uncle. Like you got a Zoom call. I don't even think it was Zoom. It was like Skype. Like you got Skype right now. Uber. It was Uber or something. Like
right.
You got to be on this video thing. You need to go drive down to be on City Hall. Yo, you got to film this at that. You got the BT things. It's just like I'm happy for all these things, but I'm not dealing with what I need to deal with. Right. And it got to the point where I'm still working every day. You know, still got my job, so it's like I'm not sleeping, I'm not eating right, and it got to the point where I just cracked. And it was just like the accumulation of being on the front lines, being tear gas, you know. And I talk about this, it's like, yo, I was getting followed home from protests by police officers. Yeah. You know, like I had police officers tell me my license was suspended and made me walk home. Like I had police officers hit me with shields, intentionally break my camera. Like was going through all this stuff, you know, and eventually, you know, I was down City of Gods, trying to go to an art show, doing interviews, everything, and then made it to the art show, drank too much, crashed my car, just cracked, and then it was just like, I'm just going to end it all, you know, and the crazy thing about it, imagine dealing with all that, and then your mother, when you suicidal, you got to call 911.
The same police that you were now documenting for the murder.
Bro, when they came to arrest me because I was in danger to myself, they like, hold up. you know. My mother was like, yes, that's him. Tell him he got, yo. But being a black woman, going through everything with Freddie Gray, and then knowing what your son is dealing with, had to like call 911. Yeah. Not getting the ambulance, but you get the police. Yo, they put me in the back of the paddy wagon. They tore my head off. Man, you got so much to live for. Yo, we let you work and all that. I'm like, man, I'm trying to die. I ain't trying nothing.
I don't mean to laugh, but that's
that's the thing. Like, you got to find joy in the moments. And I just remember like some of my homies coming to see me. I'm waking up, alcohol level super high, chained to a bed. And then, and mind you, the crazy thing about it is I ain't talked to my father in a minute, but he the one who checked me out. He was just getting out of Shepherd Pratt because he bipolar. Yeah. You know, and that's when I found out that running my family. And that's when I'm like, oh, all right. That's when I had to really realize that, yo, I do deal with things that I used to think was inferior. Like, man, ain't nobody depressed. Like, ain't nobody got anxiety. Ain't nobody, like, Like, to be honest, I'm like, it's white shit. Like, you know, like,
for real.
that's how we looked at it, you know. But it was like, oh my God, bro, this is what crazy. These are the things. And then eventually, you know, it's things that I still deal with and still have to, like, battle every single day. But now that I'm aware of it, I know how to, you know, handle it slightly better. You know, and that's where, you know, something that I tell photographers all the time is like, what advice would you give me? Like, get your mind right. Yo, because my thing is, like, you can't do this work and make a body of work. You know, I'm not going to say just as strong as mine. So you look at, you know, like you said something about being self-taught, you know, and then when I really think about it, I'm not self-taught. I'm self-studied, you know, because it's like, I was talking to one of my OGs, Mama Coco, and she was like, you self-study, you're not self-taught. And I'm like, what? I studied so many of my predecessors, but I only can imagine. Can you imagine being a civil rights photographer? Going park shooting civil rights, Robert Houston shooting the Poorest People campaign of Martin Luther King. You know, these are people that, you know. So it's like, it's a long lineage, and I think it's important to understand when you do this work, you have to be selfless, you have to be mentally stable, because it can send you down a really dark path. And it's something that I understand, you know, and my work since then has been in different veins, but it's still always about the black community. If it's gentrification, gun violence, or whatever, you know, the work is always around that. So it's heavy work. Yeah,
no, for sure. When I was thinking about this, I was like, dang, like, and that's why I mentioned at the top, like, about your dad, and, you know, we did the full circle right here. And did you ever, like, think about, and this just kind of came to me, like, did you ever think about sort of your nickname Moody, like, connecting to the fact that your dad is dealing with the things he dealt with mental health wise, like moodiness and sort of that you know, did you ever think of those connections at all?
No, me and my father, nothing like. I might look like I'm a little bit, but I'm my mother's child all day.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, like, I love my dad. I love him from a distance, for real.
Sure.
He cool or whatever, but we totally different. Our mentality is different. Where we carry ourselves is different. Like, my name came from just having a short ass temper. You know, I want to fight you 1 minute and then I love you the next. You know, I'm like one of them Sour Patch Kids. I do something crazy to you, then you be like, you ain't that bad, I'll ride with you. You know?
Right.
You know, but, like, you know, I still to this day, like, you know, me and my father. It's always been right, but at the same time, like, I'm my own man. You know, and then somehow, like, you know, the way he carries himself and certain things he do just don't sit right with me. He never, you know, try to be close with him, but you know, it is what it is. You know, I've been lucky enough to be raised by, like, some real solid OGs, and my uncle, you know, was solid. You know, that's like my father figure. My cousin Timmy, unfortunately, they both passed away, but I was raised by, like, some good solid dudes that instill some good things in me. So.
That's dope. That's dope to hear, man. And I do want to slightly talk about the second time you made it to time. George Floyd protests. And, you know, at that time, I think you had a better grasp on your mental health dealing with all the things you dealt with the first time. Now you're able to sort of approach the situation of protest and approach these images with a different sort of perspective now. And now you're able to sort of deal with a lot of the things that come along with watching protests and, you know, seeing this energy and the people are having pain on their face, you know.
Yeah, but it's a 5-year gap. You know, I have been working hard, so much failure, a lot of loss. Friends, because at the end of the day, I changed my life. I can't say the same for a lot of my peers and my homeboys.
Sure.
So, like, dealing with a lot of loss, I've gotten stronger, you know, since then. You know, at this point, I had been an Under Armour like 6 years. You know, got better with photography, found, you know, my perfect tool, which was like a Leica M, you know, which Swizz gave to me. And, you know, at this point, had my first book deal. And, you know, I was way more seasoned. You know, at this point, still learning, you know, always learning. But when 2020 hit, you know, I was already equipped with everything that I need. It just was so different because it's like when I first touched down to my first protest, you know, it's awkward because it's COVID. So you got masks and it's so different. And it's like I get there and I'm just like, I'm chilling. Like it got to the point where I moved so much. Like my last protest, somebody came and me was my homeboy Taz when I took the time cover. Other than that, it's like don't come with me. Like I'm gone. Like I'm telling you, you gonna look. I'm gonna be up a light pole on some shimmied up.
Literally.
Like I need to be in my zone. I don't got time to wait for nobody. So I put up to the protest. One of the first ones I went to, we met. I think it was like Nova Charles. So I see at this point, I had gained the. I had a lot of activists that are like seasoned. I have spent time with outside of this protest where I've made some of my friends through protests where, that we might not all agree on certain things. I'm also like, I'm capturing the moment where, activists, they be fussing. I don't like the way you march. Sure. You march too soft, man. You too radical. Like, I just be like, I'm going to take pictures of all y'all. Like, y'all,
That's funny, yeah.
But, so I get there, I speak to activists, I ain't seeing stuff like that. It was so eerie because it was just like, everybody, like, people was like, yo, that's Devin Allen. I'm like, weird shit.
See?
Yo, but it was like, even like Alpha Tall, was like, I was standing like down City Hall, right? And I'm like chilling. I'm chilling with my homeboy Cool Ant just talking. Yeah. And then next thing I know, it's like 3 photographers, but they taking pictures of me. I'm like, this is weird. But it's like, I get it, Yeah. And, I went out with the same mindset. And a lot of people don't. People's like, yo, why you not in Minneapolis? Or why you not here? Why you not here? It was like, yo, I'm from Baltimore. Like, this is the home front.
Yeah.
Like, this is the home front. Every city got their Devin Allen, and every city got their Gordon Parks. It's every city got their Curry May Weems, or they got Anthony Barboza or Jamel Shabazz. Yeah. It's up to y'all to uplift them, just like my city uplifted me. I'm not where I'm at if the hood ain't showing me support like they did.
100%. Yeah.
Because people be like, man, what the fuck, Devin Allen? Fuck that. Like, it wasn't that. The city really wrapped their arms around me like, yeah, shorty. Yeah, my guy. Reposting. Shannon, our very own. That's Baltimore Sun. That's Peter Park right there. Like, that's cameraman. Right. Like the city made it, it took a life of its own. But it was like, yo, that's Baltimore Sun right there. 100%. Like the city took me there. So it's like, it's one of me or so many other people there. Embrace them. So like a lot of times when stuff's erupting in other cities, I will look and see like who over there doing something. Like I don't even go to DC. I got my homegirl D DeWare in DC. Yeah. My homeboy Tone Mobley. Yo, they hit Tone hit me. Yo, come out DC. Nah, yo, we got some out Baltimore. Yo, I holla at y'all. And what I would do is I make sure I like that stuff, repost it, throw it up in my story. Showing we all comrades in this. Yeah. So it's just like. They my homies. I got homies in Oakland that shoot. I got homies in New York I rock with. Yeah. Like I got a lot of homies. So when 2020 came around, it just was like I was way more fine-tuned. I knew what I wanted to shoot. I knew what I wanted to capture. I knew what I wanted to shoot. It was just a different vibe, and it was just like the energy changed. So it was just like whereas though, 2015, Freddie, the whole hood was out. 2020 was a little different. Yeah. Which I understand because, George Floyd and Breonna Taylor wasn't our own, so the demographic was different. So it was just like, all right, the conversations were being had are being different. Everything was a little different. No, but I still went out, and then put my all into it. Yeah.
Jump back to 2015, like you started to GoFundMe, teaching inner city kids photography. Yeah. Creative GoFundMe donates $1,000 after seeing your interview at Yahoo.
Yahoo, yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that was dope. I mean, I can just literally just go through this. You only had to say much. I can just go through all of it. Just correct me if I'm wrong, though. DeRay reaches out, right?
Right. So. So.
Yo, go. Yeah. Please.
So, it was so weird how it happened because it's like, I'm one of them people where if I don't, it was weird because around this time it's like if I don't like you. You gotta give me a reason not to like me. Like, you gotta do something to me. Yeah. So like around this time, DeRay was getting like hella like heat and stuff on Twitter and stuff.
That blue vest.
So I didn't know him though because I'm not tapped into at this time. Like I'm cause activist, whatever. I'm a concerned citizen. Like I will say I'm an activist, like cause I understand the work and stuff. But I'm not one of the people that's like. I don't know. I'm just a little different. I still be focused on like what's going on outside, and I still think about the grand scheme of things and stuff like that. So when he reached out, I'm like, that show with the blue vest for real. Yeah. I didn't know he's from Baltimore. So it was so funny. That's the first time I was like, yo, let's get coffee, and I was kind of like, what? Like, you want to get coffee? Like, I'm not used to this. Like, I'm getting introduced to like, yo, like most people like, yo, let's go grab a drink. Like, you know, like, if I meet, like, oh, let's go grab a drink. Tell you, like, yo, let's get coffee. So we just rapping. You know, I say how I'm talking to you.
Sure.
You know, telling him my story. We was at Red Emmons, blah, blah, blah. I took a portrait of him for real. And then, and that was that. You know, and then I did the Yahoo interview. And I was just like, talking to my mother. I was like, yo, I can't believe, like, I'm talking about my phone. I'm on ABC, Huffington Post, CNN, MSN, everything.
You name it.
WGZ, I'm everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, man, like, I gotta get back. Like, I'm one of them. I'm like, man, I don't started to GoFundMe. Yeah. You know, and the GoFundMe started first, and then that's when DeRay called me. Yeah. I just thought he wanted to rap, but he was like, yo, like, Michael Skolnick and Russell Simmons from Rush Car looking for you.
Yeah. Now that 20,000 grant comes through, right? Like the 23,000, 25,000.
Yeah, so it was when they first called me, mind you, I don't know nothing about writing proposals or nothing.
Sure, yeah.
Initially, I was asking for 10,000 because it's like, all right, it's going to cost me around 5,000 to get the amount of Canons I want, another 5,000 get the amount of Nikons that I want. Because I know how to use both. But I wanted to get both to introduce kids to both. But I need SD cards and everything. So when I talked to Full Circle, I used to go in Full Circle and buy nothing. But I would make them pull out hella shit and be like, yo, let me try this. And then get like, can I just get a lens cleaner? Like $5. I know I used to get on their nerves, but like they really supported me. I would come in there and just hang. I learned so much hanging in that photography store. It's the only photo store. And they got to the point where I got cool with Bert and everything. So I even went down there and took them a cover of Time magazine when I got the stack to give up.
That's fire.
And they gave me the price point or whatever. So when Michael Skolnick called me, it was like, yo, we wanna we saw you go for me, what you wanna do? So then he like, yo, how much you need? I was like, yeah, I was asking for 10. And he was like, And I was like, he was like, how much you really need to get what you need? And that's why I was like, you trying to say I'm cheap or something? So I like, look, my mother, my ex, hey, Ma. Yeah. Michael Skolnick and Russell want to know how much I need. And she was like, they going to write it off as a tax anyway. Just tell her what you need. I said, for real, I really need 15, just in case they break something, I need to get another lens or whatever.
Right, yeah.
He was like, all right, you got a nonprofit? And I don't know what a nonprofit is. Yeah. I'm like, I don't got organization. I was like, no, it's just me. So you gonna teach me? I say, yo, it's gonna be guerrilla style. I'm just going. I'm gonna go down Kids Safe Zone. They just opened right there by Gilmore Homes, and I'm gonna just start teaching. He was like, all right, hold on, let me call you right back. Yeah. Somebody's bluffing. Lied to you now. He called me and was like, all right, we're gonna send you $25,000, and we're gonna run it through this nonprofit every day. And then they ran it through. So then I'm thinking like, oh. Get the check, and then I don't hear from him for like a month. I'm like, oh, bluffing. But I'm on my way. And around the same time, I got like the call from, the conversation started with Under Armour. Yep.
You're already, you read my notes,
so conversation started with Under Armour, and then I get the call like, yo, the check on the way, can you meet them at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum? Because I just was about to open up my very first solo show at the Reginald F. Lewis Museum called Awakenings in a New Light. Yep. And I'm thinking I'm just gonna get the check in the hand, like, they really gave me. I got a huge ass check, and mind you, I got like a Lord Scion at the time. My homies always make fun of my cars, but I like hatchback cars, and I believe in global warming, so I want to do my part. My nigga. I want to do my part, so I'm always in hatchbacks. Yeah. Everybody say, yo, you always buying a car, you like a science teacher, bro. Yo, I'm driving down Emerson Avenue.
Check halfway out the door.
Hanging out the door. $20,000 because they took the 5 off the top. And I got the 20. Yo, and it was so funny because that grant, I ran my program for like 3 years. And people like, yo, how you run program for 20 years all that? For 3 years all that? I didn't spend anything on myself. Like I know about y'all know I'm proud of y'all. Right. No, everything went straight to the kids. And then it was just like around that same time, I know I'm going to start a conversation. It was so funny because the kids cussed me out.
Yeah. Is it all right? So correct me if I'm wrong. I want to for a second. Okay, 2 seconds. So You mentioned that you were talking to like some of your contemporaries in like the photography space, saying like I got a camera at 7. My grandfather gave me a camera, etc. If I'm not mistaken, that was at like the Look 3 festival, right? Like you had those conversations there.
That was the first conversations. That was the first time I was, because when I was taking pictures, you got like, other than like City of Gods and like a lot of the homies that was already rapping or doing something artistic was mad love when I started banging, but like my homeboys, they wasn't supportive, and then like I was hanging with all painters, I'm hanging with Da Vinci, tattoo paint, Rags, tattoo paint, Ace, straight tattooing all day, Aaron Maven, painting all day, Pootie making t-shirts, Threads making t-shirts, and then like my other homeboys rapping, Soda and all them rapping, and then Jotty, at the time Jotty was doing more just graphic design, and Banny doing video. But I just had met her. I was like the only photographer in the group. Everybody else, City of Gods making t-shirts, Smash rapping, Gerald comedian, George poetry. So I hadn't been around contemporary. Yo, when I got down there, mind you, I was going with Instagram. Instagram picked me up, took me to National Geographic headquarters.
Okay, go ahead.
I did my interview, and mind you, I hate the interview because I sound so Baltimore, but I'm one of the people, I will butcher a word, and I'm butchering words. I'm like, oh my God, I hate it. But then they got a round of applause at the Look 3 Festival.
I love how Baltimore you. That's one thing I got to tell you in person. I love the fact that, like, a lot of people code switch. Like, I love that you don't do that. Like,
but you know who I learned that from?
On purpose.
Yo, I learned that from D. Watkins.
I could have probably.
Because if you go look at like some of my early interviews, I was like, guys, because I thought I had to be that. I had to like try to, and then D was like, yo, my mother like, ew, like D was like, yo, just be you, they gonna let you more, and I'm like, yo, you sure? But that's from years of just like watching so many other things. But when I went to Look 3, that's like spring break. So Instagram picked me up with like these. Like a New York Times photographer, National Geographic photographer. We drove down to Virginia. Mind you, this acting my suicide attempt. So like I wasn't gonna go. My mother's like, son, go. You deserve this. So we drove down, and that's when I meet people like Ruddy Roy, Larry Fink. I'm meeting and this is the moment that I left, that I got rid of all my Fuji equipment. Because Fuji was like, yo, your work negative. We don't want to support you.
We don't want to support you.
Yes, that's all that. That's all that Look 3 Festival.
Yeah, it's a Look 3. Yeah.
So, but at this moment, I'm sitting there. And I'm with Shing Woo, from Korea, amazing photographer. Let me play with his Leica for the first time. The first time I held a Leica M, and it was all beat up. People Leica people know you want that brass to start showing. That show that you put your camera, you put that work in, because the camera's meant to last.
That's fire.
So. His camera was like all brass. All the paint had came off of it. But that's what you want. You're like, yo, you really work with that joint.
You really work with
real Leica shooters know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That joint brassing. That means you working. That's the one. So, Look 3 Festival was just like that, being around them. And that's when I really realized how good I really was, because they were just like, you're the next wave. And this is coming from an older generation that had been doing it 10 years before me. You're like, oh yeah, you the next coming, you good. Time cover, amateur, third
and
time.
I just started shooting 2 years ago.
They're like, oh, they like, the biggest thing, I got so many gems, and they were just like, stay the course, train your eye. It ain't about the equipment, it's about you. Like, it was like little things, and I think Ruddy Roy was like, one of the guys, Caribbean photographer, very stern, will call you out. Gotta love him, straightforward, straight shooter. Really instilled a lot of things in there. I met like a lot of who, I didn't even know who some of these photographers was. But when I did my research, they became, low key living idols to me too. Yeah,
and that's dope, man. I bring up Look 3 because, in those stories that you didn't get to have as a kid, like you didn't get that story of like, I got the camera when I was 7, or I got this from my grandfather. You were that story for the kids that you had gave cameras to. And I thought that was a beautiful connection to me, because I was like, bro, like, you never got that story, but you sought to be the story for a kid in Baltimore, and now they got their first Canon, their first Nikon from the Devin Allen, and it's like, oh, now this is my story. When they become 30, 40, and they insane on the camera, it's like, that was how I got mine. And I think that was just incredible for you to give that to them. And, I mean, I'm going to keep going lightning because we still run out of time. And you actually went to, like, Freddie Gray's neighborhood, Gilmore Homes. And it's crazy because you and him actually got mutual acquaintances. Like,
yeah, we know a lot of the same people. It's just so interesting because it's like, that's just how Baltimore is. And then,
small.
Like, you know, so, like, my thing is I didn't realize, you know, I didn't know him, like, and then, like, I would be around certain people, they'd be like, yeah, man, that shit crazy. They call him, like, Pepper or something.
Yeah, Pepper.
And I'm like, oh, you really knew y'all? And she was like, yo, that's my man, you know, I'm from now. I was like, oh, all right, cool. And then, like, my homegirl that I went to high school with, she actually, you can hear her voice saying, his leg is broke. His fucking leg is broke. My homegirl, we went to Forest Park together. Yeah. She was the one that, like, when I first came down, you know, Gilmore Homes, she lived, like, in the court where everything happened. So she was the one, like, texting me, like, yo, bro, they got, they about to go do this demonstration, they about to go do this, do that. Yeah. You know, and I would just pull up and stuff like that. And then so it's just like, you know, you never know. You know, like that's the thing about Baltimore, like you don't realize like you like two people are removed from somebody sometimes.
Yeah, and that's crazy. Like shout out KS, shout out Party Artie, shout out.
Oh yeah, Party Artie, yeah.
Like
rest in peace,
rest in peace, man. Like and man,
man. That's my guy, Pooh Man.
Yeah. It's so many names. I feel like I'm gonna run out of drops for how many people I gotta put in this video for sure. But like I gotta. All right, so lightning round. You doing the Under Armour Road Show? Shout out.
Yeah, the first Steph Curry tour.
First Asia tour. Like. That's the first time I left the country. Like insane.
Yeah, that's the only thing that got the kids to want to learn photography.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
told me to fuck up out of there.
It was like, hold on, who are you? Yeah. I'm going to Asia with Steph Curry.
They was like, oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Yo, it's still funny because people, you know, I speak at schools. They be like, yo, you ain't got his number though, and it's like, I really do got his number though. But yo, give it to me. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna give you Steph's number, bro.
Give me his number.
No, you know, like it's been, you know, I've been shooting Steph since 2015. Yeah, that's the homie. So you know, shout out to him for supporting, you know, everything that I do. You know, like not even just, you know, like allowing me just to shoot him, but like you know, like really supporting the work, you know, doing the tennis shoot together and all that stuff.
Yeah, of course. So, it's insane, by the way, which I will get into. Hopefully, you did a lot of work in Oakland. Shout out to Steph. You know what I'm saying, and you know. Like, I also want to talk about, you know, not just those kids you were giving, you know, cameras to and bringing to the crib, but your daughter, too. You know, like, you also got your daughter into photography. I think her first shoot was a protest. I think it was the Aaron Winston protest.
Yeah, when Aaron Winston, like, she stayed away from photography. I'm gonna get her back later.
Sure.
Yeah, she don't know what she want to do right now. Right now, she danced for years. She modeling right now.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like she recently went to one of my art shows. But yeah, she kept asking me, you know, just asking questions. You know, we talked about those things. I gave her books about those things. You know, like she's been to art shows and stuff like that, so she knows what I do. You know, so like she wanted to go, so I just was like, boom. You know, and that's when she met like Shorty. Pull your mask up, shorty. Like
shout out D Davis.
It was the Aaron Winston protest, and when they broke his arm down power plant.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, like his cousin just had a big play at Arena Players.
Yeah. Fire. Aaron Winston's fire, man. And okay, so I gotta keep going. You
got time. I'm good.
It was actually a story of your photos being showcased to Pope Francis. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I don't even know how I would
find that.
It's insane. It's me.
It's researcher.
It's actually insane.
Find out you're a PI.
Yo, that's crazy. Never that. But I don't even know how I would have responded. Like first of all, I'm doing research, jumping up and down. Oh shit! Like this is Baltimore. You know what I mean? Pope Francis. We're looking at your photo from the creator of Instagram, no less. Like, like that's insane.
Yeah.
Like, I know that did something. Like,
you know what's so funny, because I be forgetting about stuff I do, because I'm like one of them people where I never let things go to my head. I'm like,
hell yeah.
But then I just be like, all right, bet that's done. What's next?
What's next? Yeah.
Like I'm hungry.
That's fire.
Like when it's all said and done, when they burn me, they gonna be like, yo, my rap shit gonna be crazy.
Crazy.
It's gonna be crazy. But it's like always, what's next? what happened with that was the same team that took me to Look 3 Festival, Instagram was working with them heavy in the beginning. Instagram has changed so much since Facebook or whatever. But this is before Facebook had Instagram. Yeah. This is what I'm saying, Instagram back then, Instagram was about the creator. Like I'm talking about, Facebook changed everything, but Instagram was still raw. You could post whatever you want, say whatever you want. Yeah. Man, shut the fuck up.
You ain't lying though. You was not lying.
But Instagram reached out to me and said, we wanna put this book together to post. It's gonna be 15 of the most powerful images, impactful images that have ever been posted to Instagram at that time. So some might have had the most likes ever. Yeah. Some things or whatever. They decided my time cover was one of the most powerful images ever posted to Instagram in 2015. And so they made the book and gave it to the Vatican and gave it to Pope Francis to put into the Vatican. Yeah. And then did an interview about it, and I was like, they shouted me out on CNN. Like Instagram, that's what Instagram is about. People like DVNLLN and da da da. And I just was like, I got a copy. I got a copy of the book. Yeah. Everything. I'm horrible at keeping stuff. I don't even have my own sneakers. Like, you ain't got none of sneakers. You supposed to put that in a box. Like,
I was actually gonna ask you about that too.
I don't care. Like, I do care. He's like, but you gotta think about 10 years down the line. Think about when they did the Book of Hove. I'm like, I'm not Hove. Like, I don't know.
Fair.
I don't care
but,
though. But I don't care. Still. Somebody gonna have a shoe out there. Go find it.
Yeah, fair.
But I don't care. Fair. I make things and put them into the world. But I usually, when I get stuff, my grandmother was before she developed dementia, was very good at collecting everything. I shipped everything to my mom's house, so she got all the books and everything and all the articles.
That's the best place to keep it at mom's house.
Her, I don't even have the time cover, time covers. I don't have the magazines. I don't have them. I gave them all out to my friends and signed them, and my mother got. As long as she got them, they good.
Yeah, as long as mom.
What she got, I got.
Right.
Other than her, she had an extra one that I gave to my uncle who passed. She gave it to somebody at Sam's Club. I'm like, Mom,
it's Sam's Club.
That's how my mother is.
Moms, bro.
It was an extra one. It was Uncle Jody's. He not here no more. I'm like,
hey yo.
All right, yo.
Moms. Gotta love them.
Shout out to mommy.
Shout out to moms, man. And I mean, a bunch of accolades. I mean, of course, I can't keep going without mentioning, you're the first Gordon Parks fellow.
Yeah.
Let me just say that one more time. You're the first Gordon Parks fellow. Bro, that was 2016, 2017-ish.
So that what I love about the Gordon Parks, I found out, everybody has a counterpart. It started off with twos.
Sure,
so I'm the first because I found out first. So I found out in 2016. I had to keep that shit on.
I know that was.
But I have a counterpart too. Her name is Harriet. She's awesome. Yeah. So we both 2017 Gordon Parks fellows.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yup. And then Peter Kuhnhart, who was the director, his grandfather worked with Gordon Parks personally and helped them set up the foundation. He's a director. That's who called me.
Yeah. And of course, I wish I could spend 3 hours on just the Gordon Parks section of your influence, because I know there's so much you can say on him. But I'll try to condense it. And also congrats on the Gordon Parks film, the HBO film. That was
Choice of Weapons.
Man.
I love it because I was able to really highlight Upton Gym and that.
Yeah.
Pulling up on Coach Calvin. Shout out to Coach Calvin.
Big shout out Coach Calvin.
That's one thing I love. About the Gordon Parks Foundation, they have, when I think about a lot of, because it's been going on since 2017. D. Watkins is the literary Gordon Parks fellow. This year.
Big shout out, congrats.
Shout out to D. But every year, they're working on the film and art shows, and I'm in their permanent collection. Their work is in their permanent collection and everything. But when they reach out to me in a doc, I'm like, me? He was like, yo, you the closest. We feel like you one of the closest things to him. Not even just the photography, your heart and how you move. And I was like, yo, I was like, yo, well, I don't want to really talk about the uprising. I really want to I want to highlight this. Gordon used to shoot Muhammad Ali. I don't have a Muhammad Ali, but I got a Coach Calvin. We got Javante and stuff like that. Javante wasn't there, but I'm like, yo, I think what they doing down Upton Gym is beautiful. Can I shoot that? So they went to HBO. We went down there, the film crew, everything. Yeah. Coach Calvin has supported me early in my career too. I've been shooting tanks since my first picture. I took a tank. If you look, It's down City of Gods. Well, it was on Pennsylvania Avenue, but he just had got his hair cut by a lemon down City of Gods. He was on Pennsylvania Avenue.
Okay.
You know, it was like 2015 before all the tattoos.
Oh, you said it. I was going to say it. Because I knew that. I literally knew that. But that's crazy, though, because, like, you also, like, I think the reason you really got with Under Armour was because of Gordon Parks and Muhammad Ali's connection, like, shooting sports more. And you wanted to shoot sports more because of that. Yeah,
it was a lot of things. It was, like, one thing that really, when I know how cruel the art world could be, was just, like, the amount of hate that I got. He a one-trick pony. That's a lucky shot. He only can shoot one thing. He only can do this. He only can do that. And I was like, okay.
Watch this.
I did the usher. But, when I first started, it wasn't, it was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough going from just making what I want to make than working with a $1 billion brand. Whereas though that first job with Steph Curry, I was so stressed out. I was having fun, but I was so stressed. Yeah. And I didn't have full access to stuff. It was like, oh, hey. And I was like, this motherfucker don't like me. But I didn't have time to really, build a bond with him like I thought I was going to have to. So I had to learn, then and there, But then it's like I built that rapport with him over time. But like being at Under Armour, people, like it's always levels. It's always growth. Always. So when I first got there and I explained this at the show, it was like, no, like I thought I was hot going into Under Armour. I was going to do what I do outside. And it was like, no, I had to like really relearn what I do and learn a new way of doing it.
Yeah, and that's crazy because like, there was so many, like you mentioned relearning, you mentioned like seeing more peers, you mentioned like meeting people that you looked up to that now you can like work alongside. Yeah. Like I think like Hank Willis Thomas. Oh man, yeah, you looked up to him for forever, and then now that's like your peer in the space now.
Yeah, who's I got to introduce him as a Gordon Parks fellow. Yeah, you talking about people like Derek Adams, who's also from Baltimore. Yeah. I introduced him as a Gordon Parks fellow. You talking about Tyler Mitchell, who the first black person with the cover of Vogue. He shot the Beyonce cover. Meeting people like Hank's mom, Deb Willis, or Jamel Shabazz, or one of my favorite lyricists, Black Thought.
Fire. Mine too. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's like the bro. He interviewed me at Kennedy Center. Yeah, He's like, yo, bro, can I interview you? I'm doing a residency at the Roots. I'm like, nigga, what? You gonna interview me?
Turn the camera.
Yo, and then we was on stage together, and that's my Doug. Meeting people like Swizz, and Swizz like first time I meet Swizz, here's a camera.
Here's the Leica camera.
But all that is time and meet preparation. It might seem like when I think about it, it's like, oh, it was hard work meets time and this type of thing. It was never. I don't consider them like handouts. These are people that believe in me because I work for to get into this room, to get to this point.
Yeah, for sure.
And you receive them blessings, and then you take it to another level. No,
100%. I think there was like even meeting Robert Houston, right? And I think there was a story that he told you about him sneaking into Gordon Parks' office.
Yes, like I'll never forget. When it's an amazing guy, Aaron Bryant, who basically taught me about most of my predecessors. Yeah. Gave me books, like literally like. It's like, yo, we was down the street at City, which is now EDR. Shout out EDR. But it was called City Cafe at the time. Yes. He came in, he said, meet me at City Cafe, I got something for you. He pulled up with like 10 books, big books, of like, these are the people you need to know. They came before you, and they are you, and you are them. Here's a film, watch this, and watch this, and watch this. Call me later. Like, vibe, you feel me? Big bro. And one person, he was like, you remind me so much of Robert. And I'm like, And I'm like, Robert? I'm like, I don't know what that is. He was like, you don't know who Robert Houston is? I was like, no. He was like,
legendary.
Let me tell you about him.
Yeah.
Here's his word. This is his book. You can't have this book. This is mine. It's not a print right now. And then I had the opportunity to meet him at the Reginald Lewis Museum. And I listened to him like how he was in college. He didn't really want to be there. Yeah. He was like, man, I want to be a photojournalist. And he like hopped on the train, went down to New York with his portfolio, snuck into Gordon Parks' office, lied, say he had a meeting, slipped his portfolio, Gordon desk.
There was very little people on those photos, right? It was like...
he said, Gordon was sitting there going through, I'm like, And then looked at him like, you don't like people too much. And then Robert was like, well, you know, I can take him or leave him. And then Gordon said, well, if you want to be in this business, you better take him. And then from there, that led to him shooting for Jet, doing a whole different body. Yo, shot the Poor People campaign, and you know, one of them, and from Northeast Baltimore. You know, and Legacy. I remember when my show opened, you know, I had the early like soft opening, you know, like all the politicians and stuff, and I just remember him, you know, he looked at me and he said, "Keep telling our stories, your time now, Young Blood." And I was just like, oh snap, like that's coming from Robert, and that's when I was like, all right, bet, you know, so like long lineage of you know, storytellers. And this is something that I tell all, like, mentorship is very, 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 I'm going to say very one more time, very vital to the growth as an artist. The same way Robert Houston had to take those critiques from Gordon, I have been ripped a new one by my mentors. You know, another iconic photographer, you know, I gave him, you know, Eli Reed, check him out. Shot Tupac, Magnum Foundation, OG. Yeah. I had a meeting with him. I came in with 100 photos. I got that fire. I left with 15. You know, when I did my book, started with 200 images. Yeah. Left with 80. You know, so being able to be critiqued and to evolve, but those mentorships are very vital for you to grow. Yeah. And I have been mentored by D. Watkins, Jamel Shabazz, Anthony Barboza, Robert Houston, Aaron Bryant. You know, and many more. You know, so, you know, if you want to be in this game, you got to learn how to take critiques. and understand how good you think you are. It's always going to be somebody better. It's always about being unique and honest to yourself and being truthful to yourself. Because you can compete and do whatever, but standing out is more important than being the best.
Oh man, that's I don't even know.
Nobody can be the best.
Like I couldn't say it any better than that.
You have all. It's photographers that have you know network. You know, oh my God, the photographer, the lady, I can't remember my name right now, but like she was like a nanny, and I watched her documentary. Her images never made it in magazines and nothing. A collector found them at like a garage sale, but she had already Vivian Meyer, I believe that's her name, and I butcher names, but I believe it's Vivian Meyer. I have a horrible memory of the names, but her work was found at like a garage sale. Yeah. But then it turns out she might have been one of the greatest female photographers of all time. Man. But she died before her work was at. But then they bought self-portraits, bodies of work that was never developed in film. And they find it years later. The guy tried to check her down. She had died like the year before. But she's rated one of the top photographers ever. One of the top female photographers to ever touch a camera. But never got the recognition. She was a nanny. Yeah. You know, so sometimes being the best, it's like, you know, you got to decide what you want out of this. Yeah. Anything. So, like, do you want to be the best? Go out and do that. You know? Yeah. Do you want to just be, you want to focus on the money? Then go do that. Like me, I'm not in it for the money. You know, I'm in it to be the best version of myself. I want to be one. I don't want to be the best photographer. You know, like I want to be a Renaissance man. That's why I'm writing, I'm painting, I'm doing other things. But when you mention Baltimore, you mention this era, you cannot not say my name. That's my goal. When it's all said and done, we talked about legacy earlier. Yeah. Yo, like, oh, you know, DVNLLN building. You know, 100 years ago, DVNLLN, you know, did a lecture in this building. Or, you know, 150 years ago, you know, DVNLLN used to mump right here. You know, like
that'd be fire.
That'd be fire. He used to two-step in this building. Yeah. Until you know, like, you know, I want to be. You know, when people still talk about Billie Holiday. Yeah. Baltimore, that's one of the staples. Yo, I wasn't
Red Fox.
I was in Italy, Venice, Italy, studying with Princeton and Harvard. Yeah. And I had a show up on the Grand Canal about Baltimore. with another photographer named Opie who was shooting in Chicago. We found a jazz club was dedicated to Billie Holiday.
Yeah.
You know, like Baltimore. You know, like give me that. You know, like I don't care about Don Rich. I want my family to be well off, but I want to be so impactful that like my kids can be like, yo, that's, you know who her great grandfather was? Yeah. You know, that's you know the legacy I want to leave behind. So it's like when doing this work, decide what you want to get into it for, because it's gonna be hard to.
Yeah.
You can still chase money and be great, but you gonna have to, you know, take less money sometimes.
Yeah.
You had to turn down jobs sometimes. You know.
Yeah.
You decide
100%.
all of that. You in control of how you move. You know, like I turned down things. They be like, "What?" I'm like, I really wanted that money, but I feel like it doesn't allow one more compass.
Yeah.
What I'm doing. You know.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, man, you've been super gracious with your time. Just two last things before we close. I mean, your book. You talked about your first book in 2017, A Beautiful Ghetto.
Beautiful Ghetto. Yeah.
Nominated for NAACP Image Award. You know what I'm saying? I think actually like Mitch Dunye.
Yeah, that's who took me when I talked about being in Italy for
Yeah. That's why I was getting.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
so like, I think that was incredible. Just like the response you got from your first book. Just like first time ever doing that's you know, crazy. Fire by the way.
Yeah,
I mean,
thank you. It's crazy to think like I got D. Watkins in there and Westmore. Like
bro.
Before he was the governor.
No, for real. And that's that book is definitely going to withstand the test of time, I think. And then, I mean, of course, your second book, you know, and for your second book, you did your first book tour in 2022, right? That was your first tour for your book.
Yeah, it was a slight tour.
I was still a tour. I toured nonetheless.
I feel like my publisher let me down on that. They supposed to do a lot more for me, but
No Justice, No Peace, from the Civil Rights Movement to Black Lives Matter, and
worked with some of my favorite people on that one.
Yeah, incredible work, by the way. Like, you might not consider yourself a book writer, but like, keep making them, please. Keep making them. Like, it's you know, I think we need more of those. I can't wait to see whatever you do next, because of course everything is building higher and higher and higher from here. I don't even know how higher you can go than like the Vatican or wherever, you know. I don't know. I mean, you spoke at Brown, you spoke at, you know, like Italy, like it's so many places, Austria. I can just go off of the top of the head of everything you've done. Oprah talked about your work. Like, I don't even know what else there is that can be done for your legacy, but it's so much more that you keep surprising us with every day. It's always something new. It's always something fresh. It's always something dynamic and impactful, especially that's putting Baltimore in the platform.
And that's and that's how you lift as you climb. Keep your head down, do the work.
Yeah.
Don't get caught up in the hype. You know, even like, you know, like I went through a phase where I was caught up in social media, and I thought that was like, yo, I'm not getting enough likes no more, because, you know, but it's like that's media in general, attention shifts and things like that. But if you stay the course, keep your head down, do the work, but also just bring your people with you. You got a chance to like put somebody on and lift somebody up. I done been able to put a lot of people on. Like, even just being at Under Armour, I've been able to have people like, you know, have Chino in the room at one point. You know, have Devontae and Coach Calvin in the room. You know, like having my friends in shoots and stuff like that. Even hiring kids. You know, like hiring like the homie Cam. You know, he was in the shoot for Under Armour. You know, it's all about, you know, you be the change you want to see, but also building a slight infrastructure where, you know, you can throw them favors around. Yeah. You can throw that attention around and throw the, you know, like, and that's the thing, yo. I feel like Baltimore is an untapped resource. Like, it's starting to be tapped. Yeah. My thing is, it's like making sure that my Baltimoreans are being in that conversation, because I always feel some type of way when people like, oh, I be talking to people, oh, I'm from Baltimore, and I'm like, oh, where you from? Oh, you know, I've been here for like 5 years, you know, really from like Waldorf, you know, not trying. Yo, you know, my grandmother, my great grandmother, you know, we was raised out. It's fine, but it's like, yo, it's nothing like being from Baltimore. I think it's very unique, and I just want to make sure that like anything that I do, and when it's all said and done, that, you know, I can help somebody else win. Because I know how I feel. I wouldn't be in a position, you know, a lot of people help me. I had a lot of help. You know, not even just from my family. Like, yo, I got Carmelo book cover. I got that because of D. You know, I got that because D Watkins. I got on We On the City because of D.
Yeah.
Do you know? I got published in a book writing for the first time because Connie asked me to write his forward. Do you know? Like, I can bring up so many things. Yo, Oprah knows my work because of Wes Moore told her. And Oprah homeboy, who followed me, he was like executive producer on the show. Yeah. And Wes Moore put in a good word. Like, yo, I know the kid, good kid. Yo, definitely put him on the show. You know. That's incredible. So it's just like those people open doors for you. You gotta like keep that tradition going. You receive, then you give. Receive, give. Like,
no, 100%. And man, you've been super gracious with your time, and I'm just, you know, again, I'm just honored to be in front of you.
I was good once I got the IPA.
You know what I mean? Shout out to Snacks, big shout out to Snacks. I definitely want to sit down some other time. You know what I mean? There's so much other stuff that you've done, and I haven't even touched the surface of all the extra stuff you've done. I just kind of got the highlights. But again, to sit in front of you, you know, your inspiration. Like, it's an honor to sit here and be, you know, witnessing what you're able to do for the city, but also like the legacy you're keeping for your family, you know, and your children. You know what I mean? I'm like, Child. Sorry. Child. Hey. I don't want to get a wrong message. But, you know, like your family and all of it, I think it's just an inspiration that keeps me going, keeps me, you know, really inspired to really keep pushing forward with what I'm interested in, you know. And I know that you may not see all of the impact you make, but just know that there's like a mountain of lives that you're, you know, impacting.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
On the other end. So, you know, one more time, it's my guy, Devin Allen in the building, man. One more time, can you tell the audience where to follow you?
Man, you can follow me at DVNLLN on everything, or you can just type in Devin Allen, and then you can just catch me outside. I ain't hard to find.
Yeah, he ain't lying. And one of the things I gotta say is, you know, Gordon Parks did this interesting thing, and I think you talked about this at length, was where he got so great at the quality of the photo he took that initially it's just so warming, and then after a while you start looking at it longer, you start picking out all of the conversations, you start picking out all the things that are in the photo, and up front it's just this warming thing, but then it's so many concepts within the thing. And I think you had mentioned something along the lines of like you don't think you're quite there yet, but when I look at your work, there's so many things that I can pull out of it, but also just a dynamic photo when I look at it up front. And, you know, just like Gordon, I think you're really living that legacy up till now. So I just want to congratulate you, you know what I'm saying, and just really give your flowers to you as you're sitting in front of me.
Thank you, Chan. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure, man. And, you know, I appreciate you for coming out. I look forward to everything you're doing, all collaborations, and any new photos, any new videos, any new exhibitions, anything you got with the lens, or anything in general, I'm going to be supporting. I'm going to be there. Vibe Studios and Ground 3, man. Make sure you keep it locked. And before you leave, I'm going to leave you with a short, sacred Baltimore proverb, and that is, keep doing what you're doing. Alrighty. Once again, it's your boy Mike on the mic from the Vibe Studios podcast with my guys at Ground 3 Radio. DJ OK, man, calling that 443-377-1872. Again, that number is 443-377-1872. Leave a message about Devin Allen and one of your favorite videos, photos, collaborations, or anything you like with him. Absolutely. Let me know. Next interview is coming up soon. Keep the lock from Vibe Studios and Ground 3, man. Let's keep the vibe alive, man. Peace. We out of here, man.
What it is, everybody. It's Devin Allen at Ground 3 Radio with my man Mike on the mic.